All right, Russ. It's another month, another opportunity to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly as it relates to passive income.
Who you calling ugly, by the way? I hate it when you say ugly. I'm not
Hey,
ugly.
I mean those of you watching right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Dude, I got my
That
new,
shirt, man, is just
yeah, I got my
brutal.
first day of school shirt on. Everybody in my house got a first day of school shirt,
It
including
might
me.
need to be your last day of school shirt, to be honest.
Why? Why? What's wrong with it?
I'm just giving you a hard time.
What's wrong with it? It's
No,
looking good.
it's good. That color looks good on you. It washes you out really, really well.
Washes me out. What kind of comments that?
Totally
Hey, so
kidding.
as you're listening or watching this on YouTube, we're about to do our podcast as we do every single month that breaks down our passive income report. And we're grateful to have you. If you're watching live on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, you can comment and we'll respond to you as we do this. But this is our live podcast we do once a month, and grateful to have you joining us. All right, Stallion, you ready to kick this thing off?
I'm ready when you are.
All right. So for our podcast editors, we're getting ready to go and start from July 2022. Joey, we're looking at our passive income report, and I'm looking down. I'm liking that it has growth, man. The
Oh,
highest number of the year.
man, you're telling me. I love it. I will tell you this. One thing that I look at with this report is the growth. The second thing I look at is how badly you and I need a staff accountant.
Oh,
Can we put out the APB on an amazing staff accountant who loves passive income and wants to be a part of this amazing team right
yeah,
now?
yeah. If you know someone who is an accountant that has at least 3 years experience, they like QuickBooks the way you like Instagram. I mean, they love sitting in a cubicle. You know the way that you love getting out of a cubicle. Like just point them our direction, please. Which I know that they're not listening to the podcast because they're locked down on the things that they're doing right now. But if they want to work from home and they want to work in an amazing company that has more businesses to keep them busy than they know what to do with, but also can get access to all the cool things that you've been getting access to, could you point them our way? Send them to info at Wealth Without Wall Street, say staff accounting in the subject matter, and have them send us their resume. Because we right now desperately need to hire someone because one, you're looking at our little report, and I can't tell you how long it took the Stallion to put things together. Man, bless that dude's heart. He is just not an Excel guru, and
No.
he needs someone else to help him. And we definitely need someone else that has the skills to help us and our other accountants pull all these things together and more.
That's right. But that's not why we're logged in here. That's not why you're listening. You're here to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, the behind the scenes of each one of these crazy businesses that we've built over the last several years. Let's start off with the land business, Russ. Okay. We're talking about the landgeek.com. If you haven't checked them out, this is where we're taking raw land and we are buying it at like wholesale prices, super low, 25 cents on the dollar, turning around and selling them on terms on a retail market at 300 to 1,000% returns. This is legit. This is happening every month, as you can see. And we have a team running it. That's why it's passive for us, but you could be on the same path if you go check out the landgeek.com. In fact, you and I just spent all weekend with Mark Podolsky and his team at the boot camp in San Antonio. You want to share a little bit there?
Well, here's one of the things somebody said. Hey, Russ, tell me about your land flipping business. We're at a land flipping boot camp. Hey, Russ, tell me about your land flipping business. How is it that you guys have been able to build over $20,000 a month in income in the business in less than 2 years? And I was like, let me tell you the cool part about this. We partnered with some guys who really knew what they were doing. We gave them the money. We gave them the pat on the back, and they took off and they ran with it. And they're like, wait a second, what does that mean? Like, how did you do that? They're like, starting to think about the fact that they know they need to, many of them are trying to build their land flipping business. They need to delegate, they need to bring on some virtual assistants to help them, not so they're not doing the whole thing themselves. And they're like, how did you guys do that from the beginning? And so we said, hey, we partner with Mark Podolsky and Scott and Tate, and they run the business for us. They're like, you are the guys who got them to do the done for you model. I've heard about the done for you model. And then somebody else is like, yeah, I also heard the done for you model. You can't get in until 2027. I was like, well, that's sort of right. But also
half right.
there's also another avenue. What does that mean, half right, Joey?
Well, half right, because the members of our passive income mastermind get pushed to the front of the line. It's the fast pass to getting your done for you land business. So there's benefits that come with being a member of our mastermind. If you want to learn more about that, go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/club 200, and you can learn about that.
Well, Joey, I feel like we're kind of coming to the end of the summer. We see our short term rental business had another great month. We went over $27,000 just in yours and I and the business that we had, and then with the other units there, I mean, we were almost to 35,000 for the month. I'm liking the look of that, bud.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. That's the top of the year in our short-term rental business. What are some things that kind of lent themselves to that success in July that you want to point out?
Well, the World Games, thank you. We'll take it, right? I mean,
Yes.
can we not just have the World Games or some major world event where tens of thousands of people come to our city once a month? If we could do that, we'll crush it.
Yes. Now, unfortunately, I did read a headline today that the World Games did not come through as expected, and a lot of vendors have not been paid because their budget fell very, very short in the millions of dollars. So I don't know that it's likely that we're going to have another World Games
So,
anytime soon.
so you're saying that the Birmingham was expecting to have a lot more people than they did?
Yeah. I think there was about 14,000 people that came from around the world, which was a big deal, but unfortunately, it wasn't big enough to really meet expectations, if you will.
Well, no, I mean, what I would say though is what we saw in our short-term rental business is that our average daily rate, our ADR, as the people in the biz like to call it, that went up pretty significantly. Our occupancy was a little off, and maybe that was, we were expecting there to be a bigger push, and maybe my guess is too is that a lot of the other events that typically happen in the summer, a lot of the other tournaments probably didn't happen. We get a lot of sporting event people here, softball tournaments, baseball tournaments, soccer tournaments. My guess is, Joey, a lot of those didn't end up booking in July because they were like, hey, we're not going to come and compete with the World Games. So our occupancy rate was down, but yet we were able to charge more for it because, yes, there was a ton more people just for that specific event. And what I love about the short term rental business is I love it when it's hot because the money's hot and we get a lot of it from that. If you guys have been looking into the short term rental business, we've built out a course that teaches you exactly what we follow. You can go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/STR course. And in there, we detail exactly how to get your first unit running all the way up to having more than 25 units, just as we have going on in our business too.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you can learn everything right there. Let's talk a little bit. By the way, I don't know that you did this, but in our land flipping business, in the month of July, we ended up at the net income on that was $15,247. That's a big deal. Now, the last 2 months, just to give you some background, have been somewhat flat. And talking to the team, is we've had some defaults and we've had some sales. And so those two things have really kind of evened themselves out. Although our enterprise value, which is the total amount that we will gain from these properties over the lifetime of receiving the note payments, has increased. I don't know the exact number, but I know it has increased over the last 2 months. So just to let you know, that's kind of the latest, and we have some new properties that just came on board. We have $100,000 in properties that have just hit the market, and waiting to see those things come back towards us. So anyway,
Can I'm going to do everybody in the audience a favor and tell you, quit using jargon on our podcast. That you just said about 17 words that that the average person doesn't even understand what you're talking about.
okay, tell me what? Tell me
You
what?
said enterprise value. You said notes.
Well, I said
You
what
said
the enterprise value
defaults.
was.
Hey, I'm
What
just saying, like let's just break it down for everybody here, man. Don't
okay,
try
so
don't
what's a
don't try to leave
default?
people out. Why are you leaving people out, man?
What's a default? It's when somebody quit paying on the note for the piece of land. So what happened?
Well, you
We
just
got the
said
land
note. What's
back.
a note? What's a note?
A note is how much they agreed to pay us, right? They agreed to pay us every month for a set number of months. Well, they can stop making those payments and they default on the note. That note comes back to us. The property is now ours.
What's the default again?
I already said they quit paying the note, for crying out loud.
What is the note again?
Uh, Okay, we're moving on. I'm not dealing with this anymore.
Well, no, I'm just trying to help everybody out here. Like we have agreements with people, and sometimes they quit paying them, and we have to resell the land, right?
Exactly. It's what I just said. Agreement does not make it that much easier than a note. Okay. Moving on.
It does.
Um, so we got into the Ethereum miners last month, and the month before we had a loss, right?
Hey,
We went negative.
friends don't let friends sell bitcoins. What I like to say.
Okay, that has nothing to do with Ethereum miners. What?
It
Tell me more.
well, I mean, it does and it doesn't, right? So Ethereum and Bitcoin are similar items, are they not?
They are. They're both cryptocurrencies.
What is the difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin in your opinion?
I'll say this: it's not my idea. It's the people that are way smarter than you and I. The people we've talked to about cryptocurrency have said Ethereum has the technology of blockchain behind their project that Bitcoin doesn't. And so they see the utility of Ethereum being much more valuable than Bitcoin.
And do you remember the analogy that someone gave us about blockchain?
There's about 15 of those. So you want me to pick one out of a haystack. So I'm going to let you answer that one.
Well, remember they were going through and saying it is like a perfect set of books. Like for an accountant, right? Someone who's auditing books, they want to be able to see perfectly into the business what's happening. And to be honest, most businesses are poorly run. And secondly, most investments are not transparent. You can't see them. You don't know what's happening. We talk about all the time the reason why Wall Street is such a poor place to invest because you don't know what's going on. And if you did get to look at it, you wouldn't be able to know if the books are accurate. Because how many times have we seen this, Joey, in the past where people actually did not have the books in the right position? I.e., we live in the city of Birmingham, Alabama. There was a major corporation that was cooking the books. Who was that?
Yeah, Health South.
Right. We've seen it with Enron, WorldCom. I mean, there's been tons and tons of businesses that were cooking the books that were not accurate. Now, the benefit of a tool like the blockchain is that those books cannot be cooked. They cannot be tampered with. They were perfectly transparent for everyone to see. That is something that's going to be a use item for every business in the financial space. So when
That's
people
right.
ask me, man, like today, I'm sitting working out. I got my Unchained Capital shirt on, and at the back of it says, "Friends don't let friends sell Bitcoin." Guy says to me, "Bitcoin, more like friends shouldn't let friends buy Bitcoin." And I was like, "Those are fight words, bro." You know, like you see, I got a small shirt on. I'm a bigger than a small. You know, like, I'm about to bust out of this thing on you. But here's the reality: is why is it that people have that feeling toward Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general? Do you think
I think they think it's just a scam.
they don't understand it, right?
Yeah, they don't understand it and they don't see the utility of it. They don't see how it helps them. They just see it as like this, people are putting money in and they're running it up and they're going to all lose their money.
And have they followed or heard about other tokens, other coins that have had that effect, right? I mean, we were talking to some guys the other day at the pool, sitting on top of this is amazing, by the way. You can be in a pool on like the sixth floor of a building in a downtown having conversations about stuff like this. And we were talking to a couple of guys, and they had mentioned a couple things. We won't mention the names of these companies that they had invested in, and they all went to zero, right?
That's right.
And people have had those experiences or heard about those experiences, right? There's some supposedly stable coins out there that went to zero. And so they assume that Bitcoin, Ethereum are just in the same range, right?
That's right. They
But
just put them all in the same category.
but the reality is that what we're talking about and what we're looking at is the back end model. We're looking not from the speculation of the currency itself, but in the infrastructure, the tool. We can see that this thing is going to be used in lots of different spaces within the financial model. It is like the internet. It's not going away. It's only going to grow bigger as time goes on.
Well, and
So
it's not only going to be on the financial side of things. Think about real estate. There's going to be tokenized real estate transactions where you'll be able to buy a portion of a piece of real estate. This is going to be big for the investment world in general, being able to take something that was otherwise unattainable by one individual and having them a part of a project, which I think is really exciting. That's what I think of with blockchain.
yeah, well, I feel like so when we talk about having computers that are performing a transaction and getting paid in the form of one of the top, it's the second largest cryptocurrency called Ethereum. We're getting paid in that, and we show it in USD, even though you and I are not turning it into USD. We're still holding it in that currency, and it is up. Like last month, in the month of July, we were able to profit, Joey, almost $2,000, right?
That's right.
Now, in the month of June, uh, what it cost us, it was greater than what its production was.
Right.
But yet, because the price of Ethereum has gone up and we didn't sell it, did we lose money in the month of June?
No, we did not.
No, we didn't. And we're not selling it because we're holding it as an alternative to the US dollar. So my comeback to old boy in the gym this morning, and I hope you're listening, Rusty. You know I like you. This is all in fun and games, but you give me a great example to share on the show. Is I said I like buying appreciating assets. You must be somebody who likes depreciating assets. Because what has the US dollar done for the last 60 years?
Oh, dropped like a rock.
It has depreciated. 90 something percent of it has wasted away. Right? And when we look at these currencies, especially Bitcoin in general, has almost a 0% inflation rate. It's just a hair over 0% right now. So for us, I see that as an appreciating asset. I see it for a tool that's going to be used by the whole world, not just the US, by the way. It's going to be used by the whole world, and there's going to be an assigned value to it. You and I don't know what that end value will be, but I
Right.
know there's an assigned value to it, and I want to be holding the thing that can assign that value.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's keep rocking here. You've heard us talk about our syndication that we bought into for ATM machines. And currently that has just continued to be solid. It's $2,184 every single month, continues to come in. And yeah, and there's not a whole lot to report other than the fact that people are still using ATM functions, even though you and we walked by one in the airport the other day, and I was like, man, is that one of ours? I don't know. I hope it is. Hope they're making money.
What's the benefit of a syndication?
You're getting access to deals that you may otherwise not have been a part of. Not to mention, you're getting the management behind it. You're being able to buy into a smaller portion of a total project. It's very similar to what I mentioned about the blockchain, except it's you know that's how I see it. Why the syndications are so valuable.
Well, what is a syndication? I jumped ahead because I don't want to leave anybody behind here. What would you define a syndication as?
A syndication is where a lead person, like the general partner, who understands the asset class, who understands investing in this certain type of asset, brings along other investors to be a part of the project with them. So they found the deal, they're putting together the deal from the standpoint of getting debt on it, whether it's a mortgage of some sort or a bank loan. And they're also coupling that with investors' capital to buy into a big project. And at the end of that, those partners are all sharing in the profits either monthly and or at the outset when the asset is sold. In this case with ATMs, we're not going to actually sell the assets down the road, or we will, but it won't be for very much because it's a depreciating asset.
So this is one of those things where I love the ability when someone goes and figures out what their investor DNA is, and they say, "Hey, I really like working in my lane, but investing in others." Syndications give you that ability. Syndication is just the formation of a group of people who are basically putting together an asset or asset classes that one of us, can invest in and participate in either profit or profit and growth, whatever it may look like. So there's all different models. And the one that you're talking about right now is these people said, hey, our syndication is going to go buy ATM machines. They're going to place those ATM machines in spots across the nation in high value, high trafficked areas. And we're going to profit from the fees that those machines collect.
That's right.
Pay the expenses to manage the fees, pay the expenses to the real estate to be able to take up space there, and then the rest comes to us, and then we divvy it out, right? So usually what you have is you have general partners in these syndications, you have limited partners. General partners are the people who put the syndications together. Limited partners are investors like Joey and I. And this may be old hat for many of you, but this is also something that many people didn't even realize that they could invest in assets like this, like ATMs, apartment complexes, mobile home parks, storage facilities, in a
Car
way that,
washes.
yeah, that they could invest and be a part or a partner in a major environment, but not have to do all the things, not have to know how all those things work. But what should they know, Joey? If you're going to invest in one of the things, what would be the biggest key to investing in it for somebody?
In my opinion, it's the operator themselves. Who's putting together the deal, their knowledge, their track record, and their ability to come through on what they say they're going to do. That to me is, I mean, the numbers that they will share at the beginning will not be the numbers that they will share at the end because there's way too many variables and they know that. So they're just
Uh,
trying to do the best they
Can,
can in terms of a pro forma.
can I kind of set you up there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to have done this.
Well, I'm used to it. Keep going.
The next item on our list is your RV, which somebody was asking me about this when we were out in San Antonio. Tell me about what's going on with cousin Eddie.
Yeah,
And and so you have an operator
that's
with
right.
cousin Eddie, right?
That's right.
Did you research that operator like thoroughly before you invested?
I did ask around. I asked two people that were not connected to them in the way of like getting paid by them in any way. One was somebody at an RV store, and two was a friend of mine in the auto world who had worked with them in the past.
Had any of them had an RV with them that was being rented out?
No, there was only two people that had been in their what would you call it, the same type of relationship I was going to have with them, and that they were related to them.
So again, this is just learning lessons, right? I'm just putting you on the spot. I mean, eh, if you were going to invest in a multifamily project and there had only been two people who had invested with that operator before, would you invest with that operator? Yes or no?
No, I would
I-
not.
If that person was running a car wash and only two people had invested with that person, and the operator had not been really doing it for long periods of time before that, would you invest with them?
No, I would not.
Okay. I'm just saying,
This
as
is
we,
different, though. This is different. You tell me somebody that's been operating in the RV rental space for longer than the last couple of years in this kind of relationship, and I'd say, hey, prove it to me. It doesn't exist.
so what you're saying is that you were
This is
speculating as to the potential of that situation.
what I was doing was I was blazing a trail, my friend, in a new and exciting opportunity. And I was willing to do it because at the very at least of it is I can afford the payment no matter what. And I wanted to own the asset regardless.
All
And
right.
by the
So
way, here's a quick update. If you're not watching this on our live YouTube, you can tell that last month was actually one of our biggest months in net profit on Cousin Eddie the RV. If you'll check it out, in the month of July, I earned $1,570 above the expenses. Now the bad news is I had to turn it in last week or 2 weeks ago because the transmission was slipping. Now,
mm,
good news, it's under warranty and the work is being done, but had to take him out of the mix for most of August and hoping to get him back in the saddle here in the last week or so of August.
all right. So people are asking Joey if you could do this again. It's been a year, right? Because a year ago is when you bought it and drove it all the way across country. If you could do it again, would you?
It's still early enough to where I would say yes, because I like the idea of continue to have an asset and that it's paying for itself. But I will say it's not the best use as an investment.
What is
So
the difference? So just for clarification, what is an asset and what is an investment?
an asset is something that puts money into your pocket, right?
Okay, so you said it's an asset. So is it putting money in your pocket?
Yes, currently, yes.
If you added up all 12 months, have you put more money in your pocket than you sent out?
I haven't added it up, but I think so.
Okay.
It's close. It's not much, but it is more than what I've paid.
And what's an investment?
An investment, well, I mean, investment would be the same. So, you're investing and you have a return on those dollars.
And if you sold the asset today, like if you went and put it on, where do you sell these on? Like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or wherever? Where do
You
you
can
sell these?
sell it any of those places or any of the RV stores will buy them back from you and stuff like that.
If you sold it today, would you get more than what you paid for it?
No.
Would you get, um, with all the cash that you've made, would that be greater than what the gap between what you paid for it and what it's worth today?
I haven't priced it out, so I don't know exactly. I think it would probably go for similar to what I paid for it, maybe a little bit less,
So
because the
this
market has continued to rise in the RV world.
So
So
this is what we learned when we were doing the Turo class, right? When we had Matty J, the car rental guy, the car rental guru, the guy who's going to be with us when we're out in Scottsdale, um, sharing, how you can get into that space. One of the things that he said is that you got to be cautious when buying vehicles, and vehicles could be RVs, it could be trucks, it could be Lambos, right? If you're going to rent them, it's not only the cash flow that you will make off them, it's also what the difference will be when you sell it, right? I think that that's the unique part here, is that when we buy houses, we buy things that are going to appreciate, right? It just do, because it's a hard asset and the dollar is depreciating and the asset is staying, um, it's depreciating at a smaller amount. But yet a
right,
vehicle, as you said, already in a year, it's already in the shop to get transmission, because those parts are being used and it's going down at a faster rate than the dollar is. So my word to the wise out there, as you're looking at this, and I'm looking at buying a vehicle to put it in Turo, not too indifferent than this, and maybe you'll be busting me up for the decisions I made with that, is I'm looking at what is that depreciation cost, and I'm calculating that into the investment itself. Because if you're not calculating for that, it will be hard for you to know if it's profitable. And I'm just going to go out on a limb here, Joey, and say if you added up all the cash flow, you're barely above even, right? And then now you get to take the year or that month trip you went on. That gets to go to your balance because you would have otherwise paid for that. My guess is, though, if you sold it, the difference between what it's worth today with how many thousands of miles less on it?
I think we're
Or
at
more
like
on it?
21,000 or something like that.
So you got 21,000 more on it. My guess is that it's dropped in value enough that's greater than that number.
It could be. It could be.
And with that, I mean, unless you keep it for 20 years, right, then it won't matter. Like if you keep it the full length of the loan, it doesn't matter. But if you sell it with a loan on it, then now you're going to have that gap between it. I think that's just one of those lessons I would like everybody to think about as they go into the space that I didn't even know to bring up to you from the beginning.
Well, thank you for sharing that wisdom with me, Russ.
I'm not sharing it with you. I'm sharing it from everybody else. This is OPM, bro. Like
OPM.
if you can't learn from other people's money, like what they spent and did wrong or right, then I can't help you.
That's right. Well, and I know we've got to land the plane here, Russ. So I'm going to quickly run through the last few things. The community earned $4,261.96. Thank you, those of you who are buying the courses and entering into the groups that we have created to add value to you as investors. Like one of our goals at Wealth Without Wall Street is to help anybody who wants to be financially free without Wall Street, without a 401k, without paying off your house or having this whole debt freedom idea. Get there by creating a personal monetary system, by creating passive income, and third, by being the best investor that you can be. And when you enter our community and you're a part of what we're doing, you're buying courses and things of that nature, you are investing in yourself as an investor. And so we're grateful for that. We didn't have any activity in the private note fund this month. That's paid out quarterly. Our stack candles, we had a great meeting with our operator and found some possible opportunities to increase that business, but those results are not for this month. That's for a month to become. And then lastly, our YouTube, our 100 unicorns is still holding strong. By strong, I mean it went negative only $19.40 last month, as opposed to $29 the month before. So, I mean, it's an increase. You look at it, and YouTube. If you're watching YouTube, you're helping us because we earned a little over $46 last month on YouTube and climbing. Am I right, Russ?
YouTube is pacing those unicorns like nobody's business. I mean, come on now. Let's put those unicorns out of their misery once and for all. Can we all just
hey, hey, watch it. They're listening. But hey, so this is a great month. We ended up just over $58,000 net. And man, we're just grateful that you come along this trip with us, that you continue to reach out to us. You talk to our coaches. If you haven't already sat down with them to do your own free call and to find out your path to financial freedom, go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/free call. We welcome that. We want you to spend the time with the coach getting your plan together, because this is our report. And it's only because we focused in over the last 2 years to create this. Imagine what you can do with just some focus and the proper steps laid out for you. So join us there. Russ, any parting thoughts?
Yeah, if you want to take massive action and get insane value right now, go to thepassiveincomeretreat.com. That is where you can actually spend time with people like Matty J, like Ken McElroy, like Pace Morby, like Sharon Srivatsa, Mark Podolsky, and the rest of our passive income mastermind members. This is where people are able to not only learn how things are being done, but actually be around the people who are doing it. So if you want to know what's working right now, because right now is important, and it's even more so important, Joe. I just read an article. My wife sent it me. Everybody's probably watched or read the book, The Big Short. Michael Burry, right? The Scion Capital guy, just sold almost every stock that his company owned. So he had like $165 million in their portfolio. He sold everything down to only 3.3 million. That tells you where he believes the market is about to go. Now, you and I have no clue. But what we know is that if you and I keep buying assets, and I'm not going to declare your Eddie an asset, by the way, but if we keep buying assets that produce cash flow, then we don't have to worry what happens in the stock market. And
That's right.
there will be chances that some of those will go down. But if we have enough of them, then we will be able to offset the ones that go down with the ones that go up. And we keep looking for ways to buy businesses or assets that are in classes that will prosper even in a down economy. If you want to know what that looks like, you want to know what those are, you need to go to thepassiveincomeretreat.com, apply to join us the last few days in the month of September of 2022, because you won't want to miss being there. All right, Joe, I know we need to go. Thank you as always for watching. Thank you for always for listening. If you haven't already, take time to subscribe, rate, review the show. This is how other people can find it and beat the big tech algorithm. Have an amazing day.